All right, it is Friday. We have got a jam-packed Super Bowl show today. And again, if you're looking to nerd out on ball, that's fine. I mean, cash the ticket, Cookies and I got after it. Same thing, the kickoff show that I do with Boomer Esiason. If you want nerd ball, go get it. We're going to have some fun today.
A deep dive.
It is. It's nerdy. I admit it. But this isn't the place for it because, let's face it, the Lions ain't in the game. We got to deal with other issues, including you. But
Whoa. What did I do?
That sounded worse. No, it's not what you've done. It's what you might do. So we're going to talk about it. But I want to start with something, the only non-Super Bowl today, right? We have TJ Lang joining us. Super Bowl by the numbers. We're going to get into that. Who said it? Super Bowl edition. But Beanie Howell in his update right there, the Troy Weaver remarks. I'll do one segment on this and we'll move. There won't be any yelling. But first things first. He can take that whole, well, if you look at the last two nights, he can blow it directly out of his ass. How dare you, with a record of 8-44, how dare you use a 2-game sample size to tell us that you're the right guy for the job and how exciting it is? How dare you? I mean, first of all, it's insulting. Mm-hmm. It's an insult to your intelligence. You are basically saying your customers are the most brain-dead idiots on the planet. Mm-hmm. And even though you've been here for 4 years, 4 of the worst years in the history of this Pistons franchise, even though you've been picking in the top 5 each of the last 4 years, this team goes out and wins 2 meaningless games on the left coast, and you pimp that out there at your first speaking engagement since you went William Shakespeare last summer with a love letter? How dare you? That is outrageous.
You noticed that, huh? Yeah, no, forget all about this. Then, props to Rieger for asking some real questions. But, Mike, it was 2 things that he said that I was like, what? Well, 3, because that was one, like, wait a minute.
You want to play the audio?
Oh, yeah.
Play the audio, and then you could take it to, well, I won't say take it to 6. You could take it to about 212.
Okay.
But we'll do one segment on this. David, can you play what Beanie played in his update? Or does he hide that audio from us? Take a look at the last 2 nights. What about the previous 50?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rico. I'm sorry.
No, you're in rough waters because you put the team in rough waters. There was another bite that Rieger sent me that he was saying, well, you know what? Now that we've gone through all the trade, the foundation has now been set. Who sets the foundation 4 years later? I would have raised my choice. So let me ask you a question. You and your wife building a house. The contractor comes back 4 years later and says, okay, Mr. Weaver, we have now officially set the foundation. You would fire that man right on the spot. 4 years and you uttered the phrase, well, now we're setting the foundation. So that means this is day 1 because you won 2 games on the West Coast. Forget about everything else. The other thing that got me, Troy, was basically, David, do we have the cut where he says that they had a better offers last year for Bogdanovich?
Give me a second, and I will throw that one in for you.
You're fine. You're fine because we're kind of going off script here. When he came out and publicly admitted, yes, we had better offers for Burke and Bogdanovich. We could have got more last year, but we didn't. Water under the bridge. We're just going to move on. That said something to me, Mike, because you don't get honesty. The only person I know that gives you true honesty is Tom Izzo, and it's going to get him in trouble one day. Other than that, GMs, coaches, players give you coach speak. If you asked them, if you went out and asked Brad Holmes, hey, so how close were you to Chase Young? I don't want to talk about that. You move on. But to publicly admit, yes, I could have got more, but I didn't, tells me this man is going nowhere.
You nailed it. That is the only reason I did this. One segment. If you had any questions as to whether Troy Weaver has earned some form of intergalactic Teflon status, he's here. Yesterday's trade deadline, bizarro world, but he's here. And the fact that he said, well, take a look at the last 2 nights, I go, you know what? We need to get this man a wheelbarrow because it's got to be hard carrying balls that big. For you to, at 8-44, to tell me that the last 2 nights are signs of progress and how we need to be excited, you know what? You do need to load your nuts up into a wheelbarrow. I don't know how you carry them around all day. You must get awfully tired.
Well, to sit here and say, well, yeah, it's year 4 now. We're pouring the foundation.
4 years in.
4 years in, and you really think about that, Mike. You're building a house. You gave the people the money 4 years ago, and they come up to you and say, hey, we just started pouring the foundation. What were you doing the other 4 years? Where have you been? What have you been doing? Because your first draft, gone. Like, I don't understand.
David's kid just turned 3 years old. He walked through the door with birth control. You're a little late.
That's a great example.
You're just
right.
a bit late.
Right. But yeah, when the honesty of, could have got better deals last year, but we didn't.
Yeah, and by the way, what is the sense in doing a press conference for invite-only media while the team's on the West Coast? What is the thought process there? That doesn't impact my life at all. But, I mean, the writers are all on the left coast.
So they had to get up early to join the Zoom.
And you're doing a Zoom back here. I mean, it's the same thing when they did the Tom Gore's holiday video routine. It just, bar none, it is the worst franchise in all of professional sports.
Because here's the thing, Mike, working in the media, if you half-ass do something, at least you can say you did it.
That's true. And he hadn't talked all year.
So, we held a press conference. We were on the West Coast. Oh, were you?
I'm sorry.
Sorry. It's the 5 p.m. news dump. Hey, get here if you want to talk to me, but other than that,
here's the other thing, too, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but let me just nip something in the bud, because the next time we talk Pistons, it'll probably be June. What you don't get to do is talk about, well, he's assembled some decent young talent here. I could have Kenny Cott make the number 1 overall draft pick in the NBA and probably get it right. It's called groupthink. All right, Jaden Ivey was a no-brainer. Why? Idiots like us on the show told you if he fell to 5, it's an auto pick. You just make the pick. I mean, Asur Thompson, I don't know if he's any good. The point is, you took him. Fine. When you draft consistently in the top 5, please don't act like that's some kind of act of God that you've assembled a good team. Because here, want to see what his first draft yielded? You picked 7th overall, you just waived Killian Hayes. You picked Sadiq Bey at 16, you traded him for the dead body of James Wiseman, who's a DNP, and you've got beef stew here. Who cares? Guys, I'm just making a point to you. What I'm not going to allow that franchise to do is run cover for Troy Weaver because what? He took the consensus number 1 player in Cade Cunningham? He took the consensus number 5 guy in Jaden Ivey?
I mean, the only comparable person I can think of is maybe he hopes he's going to be on the Jim Harbaugh plan. But Jim was a legend at Michigan that he was given 7 years.
Yeah, and understand, the bar is so low in this town that they can probably go win 36 games at some point, and they'll pimp it as a play-in game appearance, and we turned it around. But the way I view it is until you consistently start winning 50 games.
Man, don't let them win the in-season tournament.
No, but
there will be a parade.
But work with me. Until you start winning 50 games a year, or 60, you're not a threat for anything.
Yeah.
So the last I checked, we're in this to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy and win a championship. Yeah. This is the Detroit Pistons. Rico, I'm just saying, I don't want to be painted as a hater when invariably they're just not, quote, historically awful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like you don't give someone credit just because they stop bleeping their pants. Well, congrats, you made it to a toilet. That's the bare minimum.
How about this? You're 4 years into your tenure. Did they hit their first winning streak this season?
No, they won the first 2 games of the year.
Oh, you're right.
When they were 2-0 or 2-1, the night Levine dropped 50 here,
yes.
They were 2 wins.
Yeah.
So for the first time in the new year and the second time all season,
you had a winning
wins.
streak.
Right. Now,
can you win a third game?
You want to tell me you're happy that Jaden Ivey all of a sudden can shoot a 3-point shot? We're good. Do not, as a defense for your ineptitude, show me the last 2 nights. Or that is just insulting.
Right, or if you want to say, okay, you know what? Monty is forced to play all the young guys because all the other ones are gone. So they have to learn how to play together. And
I want Hildebrand at first.
Right. You're seeing what happens when they all play together. But once again, why did you bring in somebody who didn't really?
Well, the other problem is,
he didn't
guys, I hate to break it to you, but the wins you accrue from here on out really don't count because 2/3 of the league are not trying. So congrats. You find people who are either as bad as you or care roughly less than you. I don't care.
You go against a playoff team. They're preparing for the playoffs. They'll rest their players against you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Yes.
Beating the Blazers. I'm impressed with Ivy going 7 for 7 from deep. I'm impressed that Ivy on back-to-back nights played really well. Okay, that's fine. But, man, for him to get up there, you got a serious set of plums to get up there.
You've seen the last 2 games, right?
Yeah.
We're back.
Literally cradling his pendulous balls, one in each arm, as he got up to the podium to talk about the last 2 nights.
We're back.
You must be kidding me. But, yeah, he's here forever. So enjoy. Now, let's get to the Super Bowl, shall we?
Yes.
Kenny has an angle he'd like to discuss with you, and I think we need to do it next. It's the starting point for the show.
Okay.
We'll talk Super Bowl food, some party items, Super Bowl by the numbers, prop bet casino, locked and loaded till 6.